Hot Springs Village Inside Out is a closer look at the largest gated community in North America, spanning 26,000 acres in the Ouachita Mountains in south central Arkansas. Join me, Randy Cantrell, and some occasional guests as we explore Hot Springs Village Inside Out. Today's show is brought to you by Central Arkansas's favorite radio station, KVRE. Find them on the dial at 92.9 FM. Stream them live, kvre.com. HSV Inside Out is sponsored by Ike Eisenhower State Farm. Ike and his award-winning team have been serving the insurance needs of folks all around Hot Springs Village since 1998. Ike has qualified for State Farm's President's Club, Chairman's Circle, and Hot Springs Village Insurance Agent of the Year. Call Ike Eisenhower State Farm today at 501-984-4100. That's 501-984-4100. Find them online at ikeeisenhower.net. Call them today for all your insurance needs because, like a good neighbor, Ike Eisenhower State Farm is there. Also brought to you by Trademark HSV Real Estate. Located in the heart of Hot Springs Village, they are the fastest growing real estate office with over 30 agents and staff. Broker-owner Lori and Ken Henderson, along with the realtor and waterfront specialist Rick Marshall, are eager to share the special features of Hot Springs Village with you. For a complimentary relocation packet, call Ken and Lori at 501-276-3018. Call Rick Marshall at 501-601-RICK. They are Trademark HSV Real Estate. Rick Marshall from Trademark Realty, our new sponsor here at HSV Inside Out. We are in one of Rick's listings. He is the waterfront specialist here inside the village. So we're going to kind of do a real estate update, but I don't know, we can kind of take a walk and kind of show people what you do, and I'll let you say hello to the crowd and anything that you want, man.
Okay. Well, we're out on a semi-sunny day, but we're out on Lake Cortez, a 240-acre. It's the third largest lake in Hot Springs Village. In the background, you can see down at the east side of the lake, the dam. You see a vehicle going across the dam right now, but this is a 5-bedroom, 3.5 bath, 4,600 square foot home on the lake. It's a premium lake location with 399 feet of waterfront. It's got its own dock. Typical of a late 80s home. It's had some of the updating done, some others that still needs to be done. But if you're from not from Hot Springs Village, you kind of get an idea that you get a lot for your money coming into the village. Not often you can get almost 400 feet of waterfront and 4,600 square feet, and for $799 is the asking price on this property. But it's just an incredible location facing northeast, so you get the cooler days in the summer months with all the trees, but just an absolutely beautiful view to enjoy every day.
And as we hit the record button, we're in late January of 2025. We've survived at least the first winter storm, which we hope is our last. It's a gorgeous day today. It's a little blustery and it's cool, but this will give you folks some idea, especially if you've never come to the village. I mean, this is a great lakefront view on a really gorgeous day.
Yeah, there's still leaves on the ground, and there's a leaf blower next door, so we'll try to dodge that a little bit, maybe take a walk down to the lake and give you an idea. But again, 240 acres, so this is one of 4 full recreational lots in the village. Lake Balboa is 944 acres, and that's the largest lake. Lake Coronado is 380. Cortez that we're on today is 240. DeSoto is 200. The rest of the lakes are smaller and partial recreation. You can still have a pontoon boat and a motor, just can't water ski on those lakes. One other item of interest I get people asking all the time is, well, can you have jet skis? And there are no jet skis allowed in the village. We don't want the constant all summer long. So I joke about it I'm on Lake DeSoto, and I think even on 4th of July weekend, you won't see more than 5 boats on the lake. You'll see a lot of pontoon boats hanging from the docks out here on their hoists, but people don't use them too much. It's a very peaceful, tranquil lake, good fishing, good bass fishing, but usually people are just putting around if they're out on the lake.
And this is what I have had this conversation with folks, especially folks from up north. This is the Arkansas room, which in other parts of the country you would call a sunroom.
Yep.
Of course, we are in Arkansas, so this will give you some idea. The typical Arkansas room you can see on 3 sides.
Yep.
So it's a really good, this is a good size room.
Well, maybe we walk out on the back deck here. We can
Yeah,
get a little bit of an idea.
After you
Let's go this way.
Nice big deck.
Yeah, this property is just to the right of that floating dock and goes all the way around to the neighbor's dock on the left. So it's a prominent location on the point. Another interesting fact, all of our lakes, I get people ask all the time, do the lakes get lowered or do they go down in the summer? Generally, even in a dry summer, they won't be down more than about a foot, but we do draw the lakes down on a 6-year rotating schedule for repairs to docks and seawalls. So Lake Cortez here was dredged last year. They lowered about 8 feet for the months of November to March or April and allow the homeowners to do those repairs. This coming winter will be Lake Balboa, the big lake, and it's Coronado's being done right now as we speak. So it's a nice service that the POA does. It allows those coves to be dredged out and keep their depth so that those homeowners don't lose the ability to pull into their docks with their pontoon boats.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous piece of property.
It really is. Unusual to have this. It's actually 1.81 acres. That's an unusual size parcel for the village also, almost a double or triple lot.
And people inquire about the assessment. The assessment is not based on the size of the lot.
Correct.
So what would somebody, like I live on about a third of an acre. This is, would you say,
1.8 acres.
1.8.
Yeah.
The assessment here is going to be identical to mine and Rick's place.
Yeah, there's no tax difference as far as the POA, as far as assessing. Any of that has nothing to do with the waterfront. All of our dues are the flat. Well, they went up for this year up to the almost 114 a month, but it has nothing to do with whether you're waterfront or not or golf course.
So as we're in this new year, so talk to us about real estate. Let's back up. Let's start about last year.
Yeah.
So how would you describe last year? And
flat.
Okay.
We had almost exactly the same number of homes sell in 2024 as 2023. We didn't have any depreciation, just a little bit of appreciation. The lakes appreciated a little bit more than the interior lots, but not a whole lot. It was just kind of a year that we were coming out of the hot frenzy of the COVID years with things selling, with multiple offers. We're transitioning now back into the days on market, going from the quick 9 days on market to a dozen days. We got up to 41 days on market in December, which is normally that's still very strong and quick compared to what it's been for the last few years. Though it's a definite noticeable slowdown, and that's not even necessarily seasonal to just being the fact that it was December. We're seeing a little bit of a trend in things taking longer to sell, fewer buyers, and inventory growing just a little bit. I was telling some people today that that's nothing to really be worried about. We're just going back into a balanced market from an overheated one. It's not anything to be alarmed by. I really don't worry about Hot Springs Village having an adjustment or a bubble popping like some markets. The Austin market, that type of thing, where they're down 16% from the high already. We don't get impacted here in the village much from some of the factors that macro across the country would. An example would be we don't have a huge portion of our inventory isn't new construction, nor do we have a very large first-time home buyer demographic. So we end up with more mature buyers, seasoned buyers, a lot more, almost double the number of cash buyers in the marketplace here in the village as most markets. So the higher interest rates, which are now, we've bumped back up to 7% again, that really doesn't affect us as much as some of the other places in the country. I've noticed that our low end, and we still have homes here in the village under $200,000, if you can believe that. And those are largely cash buyers because those are investors buying them for rentals. And then our higher upper end, 500,000 or 600,000 and up, a lot of those are cash, a higher percentage. I think our bread and butter of our median sales price is about $329. So the 3s and 4s are feeling a little more of that impact because those are your bread and butter finance buyers, and they're having to go get that mortgage at 7%. But a lot of them have the down payment, so it's not affecting them much. And as Shane Lester might say, you date the rate, marry the house, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Waterfront properties in specific, what changes did you see last year in that? And as we enter this new year, what are your thoughts?
Demand was really high. I had 22 waterfront property transactions last year. Always had buyers that I was working with, kind of a pool of buyers that said, when the right thing hits, will you let me know? And so market times were still short. Really the biggest thing was buyers didn't want to do a lot of updating. They really wanted turnkey. We didn't have as many Airbnb buyers as during COVID, but the buyers that were buying, if something needed $50,000 worth of updating, they wanted to come in $75,000 low on the price because they wanted some sweat equity. If they were going to do the updating, they wanted to benefit from it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What have you seen on the investment side, speaking of that? I mean, the Airbnb or the short-term rental opportunities, or even many in our audience are contacting me and talking about, are there opportunities for 3 to 6 month things? And I know there used to be even more opportunities there maybe because there just weren't that many properties, but I know things have changed.
Yeah, it's also about the time frame that it takes to build a new house. So
Right.
It'd be nice to have some of those. I know there are a few, but not many. We do have a need for maybe a little more inventory of long-term rentals. But the short-term rental market has really changed a lot. During COVID, we went from having about 250 Airbnbs in the village, or STRs, and we went up to about 500. And that has backed off. I've already listed and sold properties that bought 2 or 3 years ago. They tried it, realized it was a whole lot more work than they thought it was. It's not a get rich quick, plan. And the first time you get the phone call in the middle of the night because on the Ring doorbell because somebody can't get in, or you're on vacation and the housekeeper doesn't show up and you got people checking in, adds to your stress level pretty significantly. So it's not for the faint of heart. It helps to be experienced in doing that. And most of those Airbnbs that are successful, someone's either got waterfront or golf course. There are successful interior ones, but mostly if you're going to market it and compete with the others, you need an amenity that people are really going to appreciate. And so if you're on the water, you're on the golf course, you're at a reasonable price, and then you have maybe a theme, or you've really decorated the home, it's clean and it's got a neat look to it to differentiate it, you can still do well. But it is definitely, the demand coming out of COVID has decreased.
We've got a number of people that have communicated with us that are planning their first trip to the village in the first quarter, and we've been advising people not to scare anybody, but specifically people that are coming to investigate whether or not to purchase a house here, to be prepared to make an offer. Doesn't mean that you don't have to even offer full ask or certainly above it. But if you want a house, because when we talk about the inventory being slightly up, I mean, like what's that number like right now? The inventory is not insanely high here.
There's 150 homes. We have over 9,000 homes in the village, and you've got 150 for sale. So it's not. Yeah, we're not flooded with inventory, but it's not. We got down at one point during COVID where we had 32 homes for sale in the village.
Yeah,
that was short.
Sure.
So yeah, and whether you're looking for a townhome or a detached home, there's inventory right now in your price range where you'll find something that you like.
So if I'm interested in waterfront property, broadly speaking, the price range is going to run from what to what?
Well, a townhome that backs to the lake, like I've got one right now in the twos. It's $249. It's a 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath on Lake Coronado. Okay, so you can get a townhome in the twos.
Now talk to us about the townhomes, because we get a lot of questions about that, and
Sure.
and how does that work, and what's my access to the water, and that sort of stuff.
Well, technically there's two different concepts there. First of all, we don't have any condominiums in the village. Everything is a townhome. Condominiums, you own the airspace just within. Okay, a townhome, you own the structure and the ground it's sitting on, and you're responsible for maintaining it. So you're going to paint it, you're going to put the new roof on. The dues, you're going to end up with two sets of dues, the POA dues at just under $114, and then based on that particular townhome court, you may be another 100 or so for that. And that generally includes your garbage service, garbage pickup, and that's about it. The rest is just insurance and the common area maintenance. And you either own to the water or you own backing to the common property that backs to the water. It doesn't affect your usage in any way. You can still have a dock down there. But those properties do well. That's where a lot of those Airbnbs are, because they're affordable, and people like to come in, whether it's by the marina on Lake DeSoto or a house on one of the larger lakes. They make a great rental property.
I'm going to let people see this water while
Sure.
we're talking. So we're talking, we could get into a townhome in the twos.
Yep.
And that's going to be kind of your starting baseline.
Right.
And then what are we looking at, just to give people an idea, a range?
Yeah. In the mid to upper 300s is rare to find a detached home that's in great condition. You're approaching 400 to get into something of 2,000 square feet or so. And then really it comes down to square footage, quality of waterfront. I know dollar per square foot, some people ask about that. I'll jump up on my soapbox just for a second. Not all waterfront is created equal, as you can see here. Not every property's got 400 feet of frontage like this one does. So you wouldn't compare this property with one that's deep on a cove with 2 feet of water.
And it's not a steep slope. You don't have to be
Right.
a billy goat to get down to the water.
Like across the lake, you can see on the north side, that's real steep and not even built on. You wouldn't compare a house that's all one level versus one with a basement, or one that's updated and one that's not. So all of that, condition, just differences, you wouldn't boil all that down to one number, dollar per square foot, and say, well, gee, a waterfront home should sell for $235 a square foot. No, that'd be crazy. So the most expensive home to ever sell in Hot Springs Village was a listing that I had a year ago, July. It was on Lake Balboa for 1.4. But it was a pretty incredible house with an in-ground pool. It was out on the end of the entire peninsula, sticking out into Lake Balboa, had over 400 feet of waterfront, and was just really a showplace property. And you can still find that one on YouTube at 74 Resplendor Way. Just a really phenomenal property. But most of our waterfront is in the 4s, 5s, and 6s, depending on the lake you're on and the square footage. Which,
for most folks, especially if you're coming from I would say, a metro area, but frankly, I mean, everybody I've talked to, Rick, whether they're coming from the Pacific Northwest or they're coming from Texas or they're coming from Florida, the dollars there versus the dollars here,
Yeah,
it's a really good currency exchange.
it sure is. Yeah, I've moved two members of my family down from Seattle. One, they sold a little, my brother and sister-in-law sold a 2,100 square foot house in Seattle for over 600,000 and moved them down just outside the village, a 4,000 square foot home on 2 acres for 350. So they were able to go, mortgage free and have twice the house they had when they were in Seattle.
Yeah, it's great.
Yep.
And this deck, I'll just show folks to give you some idea. So this deck is kind of unique in that it goes on to the other
Master bedroom.
There's master bedroom. There's 2 doors down this way.
Another bedroom. Yeah, guest
you can
bedroom.
come straight out onto the deck. Now below us is a basement.
Full basement. Yep.
So, and we've talked about this before on previous shows, that houses here, there are houses that are slab on grade. There are some that have crawl spaces. There are some that have basements that may not be finished or maybe kind of sort of finished. And then there's basements that are full blown finished.
Yep.
And you can see on the same street, you can see
Yes.
all 4.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the builders love building on slab just because it's easier and they like the level lots, but you're not going to find a perfectly level lot very often on the water. Everything slopes down to the water, so most of these homes do have a walkout basement. Some have full, some have partial, but
Not to put you on the spot, but people often inquire, like, what's the average time that people live here? And of course, I've explained, we are not a retirement community officially, meaning if you're under 55, you can't live here. But we are a retirement community in that the major demographic here are older folks.
Yep.
And for that reason, people do tend to get a certain age, maybe health issues, and they move back to where the kids are because they need family support and things. Do we have any numbers of what the average is? I asked Lori the other day, and she said
The
she had
average
read.
age?
No, the average time that somebody comes and stays in the village, but we're seeing people younger and younger,
Right.
as evidenced by a 38-year-old couple that moved down the street from me into
Yeah.
a brand new house.
yeah. Well, there are over, to that point, there are over 900 kids that get bused to either Fountain Lake or Jesseville schools from the village every day. So there are some younger folks here in the village. They just don't make up a huge portion of our demographics. But to your question, I'm not sure the average length of time somebody stays in the village, but I joke with them that there's only 3 reasons that you leave. It's assisted living, be closer to family, or out in a box.
Yeah.
I mean, most people don't move from the village
right.
to find greener pastures.
Well, I've got a neighbor who is a 96-year-old widow woman from Boston. She's been here for 15 years. Got a widower down the street, and he's been here over 20 years. So there are an awful lot of people who've been here for a long, long time. Ike Eisenhower, great sponsor of the show, Ike Eisenhower State Farm. I mean, he and his family, they moved here when the girls were small. He's been here 27 years. So to answer that question, if that's on your mind, I don't know that there is a stat. Everybody's life here is different. But many of these houses, I think, they go up for sale because of the reasons you just listed.
Right. Yep. I meet with people all the time that are preparing for that next chapter in life, and they need to have an estate sale, it's time to downsize, or their family is encouraging them to get closer to them because of health reasons. So that's more than typical here.
Well, I appreciate the update, Rick. Anything else that you want to add before we say goodbye to everybody? I first of all want to thank you and Lori and Ken and Trademark for being a sponsor to the show. Rick and I are going to have some conversations regularly to give you guys updates on the real estate, because frankly, so many of the questions that we get, I would say easily 75% of the questions that we get on a regular basis have something to do with real estate. Not necessarily buying or selling, but they've got something to do with houses, homes, lots, and that sort of stuff. So we're going to try to bring you a lot more regular content about that. We're going to do a regular segment on just lakefront and lake community living as well. Rick lives on Lake DeSoto, and he is the waterfront specialist here in the village. It's the niche that he's kind of carved out, and you can contact him on that phone number. By the way, he's got a great email or a great newsletter that he produces every month, and we'll probably start sending that out by email as well on our list. So sign up for the HSV Inside Out newsletter if you'd like to get a free copy of that. It's a really good real estate, update with prices and the number of houses that have been on the market, the houses that are currently on the market. You do that lake by lake, don't you?
Yes, for each lake.
Yeah. So these are newsletters based on all the different bodies of water here that have real estate activity. Well, I guess they all do except Lake Lago, which is the water supply. Right. So I'll let you have the last word.
Well, we'd just be happy to answer any questions that somebody has. We have a virtual relocation packet for those that think they might be interested in. We can send you an email with a bunch of links to additional information just to be a resource. The newsletter is another option. I can put you on that as well. But we just want to be a resource. We're ambassadors for the village. I think we both share that, and that we live here, we love it, and we don't mind sharing it with others.
Thanks for watching Hot Springs Village Inside Out. You'll find all our episodes at hotspringsvillageinsideout.com or on YouTube.